Crying for your birthday. Put me in a nicest spot in the soda kiln.
There you go. Put me right in the crown.
Crown.
Mugs all in the crown.
Worth it. Mugs.
Today is probably going to be the, this is D-Day. We're going to start doing JavaScript, okay? Which is a departure from anybody else here in the course that's had HTML before. This is the part that you may not have seen, so it's going to become kind of interesting. To begin with HTML, I just want to review this stuff. With HTML and with CSS, which is style sheets, those two guys are concerned about showing the page to you, showing you what the person who's using the computer sees. They sit down with this, they type in a URL and they see this page come up. Okay, if anything on that page requires them to enter information that's processed, and that's done out of sight, and that's done by JavaScript. So what happens is, now what we're going to do is, instead of just having words and pictures, we're going to add in buttons. The button is the normal way, it's the normal way to actually say to JavaScript, here, do this. And when you press the button, when the person takes their mouse and they click on the button, what happens is it goes to JavaScript and does whatever it's supposed to do. So what I want to show you is how the web page, the normal web page that we've been writing, has a little, the ability to go to JavaScript, how to get it to JavaScript, and how for JavaScript to get it back to us, how to get the answers back to us. So in other words, there's two things involved here. One is communicating with the JavaScript, and then the JavaScript communicating with the page again. It has to talk to it, it has to talk back, okay? So I'm going to start very easy. I'm going to start with one that's very simple. The only thing this program does is it will ask you to press this button, and when you press the button, what it will do is it will say something to you. It'll make a little dialog box and say something to you, and that's all this program does, the first one. Because that'll give us they'll give us a button, and it'll show you how to use that button to actually do stuff, okay? That's the first step. So, start off with, you always have to do the same old thing. You have the HTML. Is that big enough to read, by the way, you guys back there? Can you read that? Should I write bigger or what? The trouble if I write bigger, I won't be able to get a whole program. I'll just start going over there. But is that okay? If you have any trouble reading something, just say it right away now. Even if my writing goes off kilter, be sure to say something. The next thing I want to do is I want to make a head. Now, what I could do, actually, to make this a lot easier for us, I could put head right here. It doesn't make a difference where it is. As long as it follows this, as long as the program sees this first and this second, it doesn't make a difference. It could go HTML, head, you can do /head, you can do it, you can put it all the way across this way if you want to, because it doesn't see the carriage returns anyway, so it doesn't even care. Okay, but for your own consumption, because you're writing a program, you don't want to get too crazy about writing the tags that way. But on the blackboard, on the whiteboard here, I might do that just to save space, so I can actually, because some of the functions we're going to write are big, and it might go all the way down to here, and therefore we're not going to have any room left to write the web page. Okay, so I might later on I'm going to start writing a little differently, but I'll tell you when I do it, so you'll see. Okay, it turns out that when you write a JavaScript function, they're called functions. When you write a JavaScript function, it has to go into the head. That's where it goes. In other words, the web page down here says do something, and it goes up to this JavaScript function up in the head up here, and it does something for you. That's how it works. So in other words, the web page is down here, which is the picture of what it looks like and everything. It's got this button. We're going to put a button here. When you press that button, it's going to go to the JavaScript function. It's going to do whatever you tell it to do. That's where you get the power to do this stuff. Okay. So to begin with, because JavaScript is not HTML, it's its own language. It's a completely different language. You have to tell HTML. This is not just normal HTML. What's going to come next is going to be JavaScript, special stuff, okay? And here's how you do that. This is the tag you use. You write the word script, like that. That's one of the official tags for HTML. And you write language, put a space right here, language equals JavaScript. Close. That's it. So that's a special line that you have to write. And in here is where you write your JavaScript, all the code for the JavaScript. And then at the end of this thing, we put /script. Just like you put /HTML, you put /scripts and shuts off. So here's what the program sees. It says, okay, we're HTML. Okay, this is the head. Oh, whoops, we're going to JavaScript. So you go to JavaScript, it puts this stuff in, and then it sees the /script, and it says, okay, we're finished. Now we're going back to HTML. So in other words, we're going to make a little hole in the thing here to put our JavaScript in, and that's how it's done. Okay. I'm going to leave off what I'm going to put in here for a second. I want to start off from where we're at down below. I'm going to put /script here. Okay, here it is. That's the end of the script. Then what I do is I have to put the end of the head in here, just like we've been doing right along, the head ends. And then we put the body right here. Right there. And you can center it or whatever you want, but that's where the body goes. And now the thing is, I want to put a button on my screen. I want to put a button. And what the button's going to say is, click me. That's all. I'm just going to have to say, click me, that's all. So that means you take the mouse and you click on the button, okay? And when you click it, it's going to jump up to this program up here. It's going to do the program, which will print out some words for us, and what they call an alert dialog box, and then it will come back. And all we have to do, the person's using it, we press the button, that little box will come up and it'll say something to them, and they can close that box, or they can press the button again and have the box come up again. But basically what happens is, the only thing we're going to do now is we're going to say, if you press this button, this box comes up and it says something to you, okay? Normally what this is used for is in a program where some kind of an error occurs in the program. And they didn't type in the right thing. Normally that's when you send them a box and say, oh, you typed in the wrong thing. You give them a message, okay? Then they close that and they type in the correct thing. But for our purposes, just to get off the ground, it's the easy, breeziest way to have the computer talk to you without us having to write a lot of code, okay? So, question is, we're down here. Now what I want to do is I want to put in that button so that when they press that button, it will jump up to this program. Here's how you write a button. First of all, it's called an input statement. Like that. Input is the magic word for a button. Okay? It's for other things too, but we're using it for a button here. Sorry, I better get a better piece of chalk. People won't be able to read this at home. And the input statement, okay. What I want to do is I want to say that a space right here. I want to say type equals button. In other words, the kind of input, there's different inputs you can have. You can type stuff in, or you can have a button. There's different kinds of inputs. This one here is going to be a button. That's B-U-T-T-O-N, by the way. So you're saying type equals button, okay? And then I want to say, put a space right here. I want to say, let's see, what else do I have to put? Value equals click here. That's what goes on the button. Whatever you put here in quotes actually goes onto the button. So when the button comes up on the screen, it'll say click here on me. That's what it does. You can type any words you want here, okay? Click here. And then I want to say on click, make a space here, on click. Now this is where I have, the chicken and the egg. What do I do first? When I say on click equals, I want to go up to this function up here. I want to go up to the function I created. So here's what I want to do is I want to say, when I see this button says on click, the person's going to click on that button. This right here is what they call a trap. Actually what it does is it waits for them to press the button. When they press the button, on click will send it to do whatever you want it to do, it'll do it. Okay, this is the first time we've had anything like this. This is actually an active kind of thing. On click, go to, I'm going to say quote. Let's call it first. Right like the easiest read. Let's see if I left anything up here. Value, you got type, you got value, and then we have on-click. Okay. That'll do it.
Is there a space between the click and here?
Space here.
I
Space.
mean, in the click here, is that all run together?
This thing is all run together. Yeah.
No, in the quotes.
In quotes.
Click here.
Oh no, there's no quote. This should be tight. Everything should be tight here.
No,
There's-
The click,
there's
the
no
after
space.
value?
Where it says
The words
value.
click here.
Value.
Value right
equals-
here.
Click here. Is there a space between
Yes,
click
there's a
and
space right here. There's a space right here. And a space right
You
here.
can put a space in between the click here, it's like putting a space between hello and the next letter.
Okay. The reason why there's a space, by the way, this right here is a tag. Input is a tag name, so you can never put anything up against that. You got a space to get away from it. So then when we put type equals button, value equals click here, and on click equals blah blah blah. By the way, these don't have to be in this order. I'm telling you that, but try to do it the same way as I do it. That way, at least when I'm talking about programs, it'll be sort of in the same order. You can say I could have said value equals this and type equals button over it. It doesn't make a lot of difference. What it wants to see is what is the type, what is the value. It looks for wherever it is in the line. Okay, so you see what all these things do so far. First of all, this is an input statement because you're actually you're on the screen and you're going to say I want to do something here. So you put information into the front page. So the type is a button. That's the kind of input button it is. And it says click me on the button. It just says those words on the button. And then what happens is when you click the button, it goes to this thing right here, which I haven't defined yet, but I'm going to define it up in here. It goes up to the JavaScript and does something, okay? At this point, here's what your screen looks like. Like so. And it says, there's a button right here in the corner, and it says click here, like that. That's all you have, okay? Now let me just finish the program off, and then we'll, then you have /body and /HTML. And the program's over. Down here. Now I have to write this part up in here, okay? Well, first of all, this thing right here is what is called a function, okay? It's the name of the place that you want to go. You have to name that place. And here's how you do it up above. You say, well, I have a function, and its name is first. Now, here's the thing. This space right here, we didn't put anything in there because we don't have to put anything in there in this program. We don't need to put anything in there because we're not asking for information. But normally what happens is, information, you'll be sending information from the page up to here, and it comes up right in here. That information is going to be right up in here. So in other words, if I say, if it asks me what my name is and I enter my name someplace, it's going to grab my name in a variable, and then we're going to have that variable up to here, and then it's going to know what my name is. It can do something with it. So that's how this works. We'll get into details about that later. But temporarily, you have to put these two parentheses in here, but they don't do anything because there's nothing in there. Okay. Then what you do after you do that, you put these braces here. A brace opens a function. Each function has to have, it says function, here it is, open this brace. Now some people put the brace over here. Some people do it like that. I like to put mine down here, even though it gets in the way. But I want to put I want to put it down here so that it's visible. When you start typing yourself and you put that squiggly over there, some people miss it, and then that's a possible place to have an error in your typing. So the thing to do is don't do it that way. Put down function first, or function whatever, and return, and then put the thing here. Then it's very obvious. This line says function, here's my brace open, and then down the bottom you're going to have another brace down here that closes the thing like that, which is in the opposite direction. So between here and here is that function. That's what opens, that's what shuts. You can have many functions up. You can have different functions up there in the JavaScript if you wanted to. But we're going to have one right now. We're just going to work with one a little bit, okay? So, now the question is, supposing I want to say hello. That's all I want to do is say hello to the person in the dialog box. That's all it's going to say. Here's how you write the code for that. And there's a semicolon right here. Now, this is a JavaScript command. Alert, JavaScript knows what that is and knows what to do, okay? What it says is, oh, put a little box up here, and it's gonna go right here, right in front of everything, and it's gonna say hello. That's all it does. It's got a little check mark that you can close it. That's what you get, okay? And that's it. That's what that command does. It simply puts the word hello up there. You can put goodbye, you can put anything you want. As long as it's in quotes, it'll take it and put it up there, okay? You can also put variables in here, and it'll put whatever's in the variable. We aren't doing that yet. We're just, these are literals. These are called data. When you put quotes around something, it's called a data literal. It means whatever's in there is what you want to see. Okay, it's not a variable, it's what's in there. Quotes do that for you. It says, this is actually a word that I want you to move around and do something with. Okay, so in this case, we want the word hello itself to go up here. That's why the quotes do that for you. And that's it. That's the whole program. That program will work for you. Anybody got a computer here? Okay, you know, did you write it? Did you write it?
Yeah.
Did it work?
I'll try it, I'll save it.
You get it closed.
It might be good to have somebody do it in class, because if there's any kind of typo possibilities, they might make them, then you get to see where you might get into this question.
Is there a space in between function and first?
Function?
It
Yes.
looks like there
There's
is.
a space,
Okay.
yes.
And then with the alert, looks like all that's run together. I
Yeah,
think
this is
of
all
that.
run together, right.
Okay.
By the way, sometimes it's forgiving, sometimes it isn't, and it's very hard to know when it is, because the people that write these things are your age, see?
Yeah.
And they do anything they want to do, and you have to kind of keep up with them and figure out what they're doing.
I shouldn't have to.
But the rules are supposed to be a space in there, yeah. Okay, so, run it.
Try it now.
As I say, this is the simplest program you can possibly write, because it doesn't do anything. It just simply goes up and puts that box up here, and that's all it does.
I unfortunately missed the last two classes due to
You what?
I've unfortunately missed the last two classes due to things out of my control. Is there a website that we're using to input this code?
Oh, you do this in your own computer. You write the thing in code, you save it, and then you take its icon and drag it to Chrome, and it runs for you.
Okay.
Anything you drag to Chrome runs for you. Drag it to the icon, Chrome icon. Okay? Really good. Eraser here.
Hey, if you're using a Mac, I'm listening. Tyler?
Do we have to be dragging things?
You have to what?
Like dragging
Oh,
things?
Yeah.
Because I've been trying to do that and it won't let me drag it.
It worked.
I've done it, like,
What do you mean it won't let you? What kind of computer you have?
I have my own,
Why does it?
I don't know, like.
There's the Chrome on the desktop.
Yeah.
You put it here. You grab it, and you drag it to it and let go with your left mouse. You have to show me that.
I gotten it to run by just having it set.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. You won't be able to do that in the future. The early programs, yes, we aren't doing anything weird, but we'll be doing weird stuff almost like next week. We'll start to do things, we'll start to talk to you and everything, and it won't do it, it won't work. So figure out what's wrong with that, yeah, if you can't. If you can't show it to me, actually, if you go in the lab and show them on the computer what happens, they can tell you right away. Otherwise, you're going to have to connect with them and want to figure out how to do it. Okay, there is something.
So it worked.
It worked? Not bad, huh? Nothing like that. You put any words you want in here, okay? But that's called an alert. As I say, it's not a normal thing that you would use unless you're trying to find a bug in a program. Okay, so let me write a different program. Let's write a program that asks you your name, and then it just simply says, hello, whoever you are. That's all it does. In other words, the program, you type in, here's my name, hit the button, and it goes out there and it connects the word hello to your name and prints it out on the screen. So in other words, what you're going to get is, it's going to show you that you can put stuff into the computer, and then you can get stuff back out of it, and use that button to do it. So what the button does, the button sends the information to JavaScript, and then JavaScript does what it has to do. It connects the word hello to it, and then it sends the information back to you, back to the screen. So now you're going to have, this screen is going to look a little different than the other one. This screen is going to look like this. It's going to have an input, same thing. It's going to have an input right here. But the input this time, instead of looking like a button, it's gonna be an empty space. It's gonna be an empty space that you type into. That's where you type your name into, okay? And this is gonna have a button, which we can say click on, or whatever you wanna say. Let's say click. And then over here, it's gonna have another empty space. That's the output space. Now it turns out in JavaScript, input and output are both the same. It just makes a space. It doesn't care how the information gets in there. So the program may put information into that space, or you may type information in space. So it's just an exchange place where you can put information in or out. Okay? So in our particular case, here's what's going to happen. When I run this program, I can type in my name right here, Joe. And when I click that button, it's going to say, let's say, hi, Joe. Okay? That's all it's going to do is say hi space Joe. That's all it's going to do. Sounds pretty easy, doesn't it?
Now, where do we put that in the command though?
Well, you
I'm
can show
gonna
us how to
write,
Oh.
let me write the program. This is a new program.
I see.
All right, so start off. This seems silly, but actually I like to rewrite everything so that when you're taking notes, you get every single point. Because if I leave an old program up there, you might forget which goes with what and all that, and it just gets the nuisance. So, step number one. This time I am going to write the program a little bit sideways to get more space. So the first thing you have to write is going to be HTML. And then we're going to put a head up here. And then under here, just to make it clear, I'll put this one here. I'm going to put script, language, JavaScript. Okay. If you do any typos in any of this stuff, if you wrote LANGAGE, for example, that's classical kind of stuff where a typo causes you trouble. That's the reason why I gave you this homework assignment that you're now doing, is just to get used to the idea of writing things in detail. You know, when you write in any of your word processes, you start writing or in Chrome or anything, Google, Gmail, it corrects for you. It underlines things, so you don't think about it. So you don't have to. You just go, fix it, and going along. This stuff can't fix it because it doesn't. JavaScript's weird. It isn't one of those kind of languages. There is an editor. I'll tell you about it. You can do this if you want to, but I don't use it because it's got too many bells and whistles. Basically, there's an editor called Notepad 1 or something. I think it's called Notepad 1, something like that. And it actually has corrections in it. So in other words, when you write the thing, it'll make it red or something. It'll show you what the errors are in the thing. But it also shows you a lot of other stuff. And that's where it turned out to be a bigger headache for me than not using it. So I don't use it. In fact, probably in a course where you're just beginning, it's probably better for you to get used to have your eyes find an error. Because when programs really get complicated, you basically have to know the classic thing is you always make the same mistakes. And I'm not kidding. I've known hundreds of programmers, and this is always the case. When you make some kind of a mistake in your program, and the next one doesn't run, look immediately to see if you made that same mistake, because you're likely to have made it. And that's quite nice, because it means that you actually learn your own mistakes and figure things out. But anyway, so be careful how you type everything. Everything has to be typed precisely. There's a space right here, right? No spaces in there. If there were spaces, it might work and it might not. I'm not guaranteeing. In other words, if you put a space on this side or that side of the equal, I don't know. It depends on how the person who wrote that program for that particular browser set it up. Okay, so right away, I know I'm going to write a bunch of JavaScript here. Okay, but I don't have any room for it, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say, down here, I'm going to say /script to finish it off. And then everything down here is what we normally do. And that's what's going to, I'm going to write it over there, by the way. And at this point right here, I'll put /head in there to get it out of the way. /head. To get it out of the way. And now right here would be the body. And I'm going to write the body right over here, okay? This is the body right here. Notice this line, assume this line is right down here. It goes down from here, okay? The body's right there. Now, the first thing I want to do, down here is going to be /body and /HTML. Does everybody see what I'm doing here? It just goes like that, like that, over there. Okay. In this function right here, I'm gonna call the function name it. I'll just give it the name it. Okay. So I'm gonna create a function right here. It's to be called name it. I don't know why I just picked that name. Who cares? And name it is going to receive a variable. We're going to call it in right here. Now, at this point, we don't know what. I mean, this is like some of you. This is going to be mystical for a minute here. That in came up from down below. We're going to send that to it because when we type something in here, that is what in is going to be, and it's going to go up there. Notice whatever we type in here is going to be sent up there to the program. Okay, so I'll show you how it does it. Okay, in the body of the program, we want to put this space right here. That's the first thing you want to put is that space. And here's how you put it. You say input type equals text. Oh, I got to give it an ID. Sorry, I hope you guys didn't write anything yet. I got to write one more thing here. ID equals quote name type equals text. And you can put quotes around text or not. Some browsers say fine, others don't like it. So I mean, they all like it. They'll all work with text. Some work without text. I usually put quotes around it, but I think this is not necessary. So I wouldn't panic if you didn't put them there. If the program doesn't work, then put them there because then it's one of the browsers that requires it. Okay. But basically, you do need this because that name is you made that up. I made this name up. It could be a banana. It could be anything. I'm giving a name to this input right here. Basically, what I'm saying is the name of this box is name. That's what the name of that box is. It's a variable. And whatever's in the box is what's ever inside that variable. So that right here is called name, okay? Then, so I've created that. And now what I want to create is a button. And the button looks like this. Input, type equals button. In the first program, did I put quotes on the buttons? I just want to know if I be consistent here. Yeah, I did. So a button should have quotes around it. The browser I was using apparently required it, so.
You didn't have buttons in the first time.
I'm sorry?
You didn't have button in quotes the first time.
I didn't have it? Okay. It might work without it, by the way. It might work without it. It would be preferable because it's kind of a nuisance typing this stuff in. Type equals button. Value, which is what you put on the button, equals that word right there. You're making that word up, so you definitely have to put that in quote marks. So anything that you're making up, it doesn't know that, so you got to put in quote marks. Button, it knows because there's only so many types, and it knows what types there are. It knows it's text or a button or something. The value of the thing always is in your hand, so you got to be careful. You should have put quotes around that. I think it knows. It can figure it out if it doesn't see the quotes. And by the way, the reason why I have a little thing about this is because, believe it or not, they've changed this over time. They change whether you need quotes or not. That goes on and on. We used to require quotes around the word JavaScript here. They don't anymore. They just drift towards the easiest thing. People forget to put them in, so they say, "Oh, forget it. We'll just make it so you can do that and it'll work." And that's how it works. Anyway, so we got the click thing here, and then got that. And I want to say on click. I'm gonna return over here. I'm gonna say on click. That's just like part of the same line right there. On click, and I'm going to say equals quote name it open parentheses. Now this is going to seem weird to you, but I'm going to put whatever variable is here, and then whatever's in here, I'm going to put that name right here. In this case, it's just name, okay? and this is weird right here. Put the word dot value. This is kind of a strange thing, I'll explain it to you right now. Then you gotta close the quotes and close that. Okay, here's what happens. This button right here, that button, has the name click on it, because the value is click, that has the name click on it, okay? And it's a button, so you say it's a type, it's a button, so they know the program knows you're gonna click on it. And then it says, when you click on it, go to this function right here, which is name it, which I didn't write very clearly, but it's name it right there, and send this variable up to in. So in becomes, whatever you typed in will go in right to here, okay? So I would like to be able to just send the word name, but here's where the problem comes in. This variable you created actually has different properties to it, and the computer automatically records those properties. For example, dot value means what are the letters I actually typed here? J-O-E. That's the value of the thing. I could have put dot length, L-E-N, and it would be this. It would tell me how long this character, how long that is right there. So you notice I can put dot different things, and that's the trouble. It gives us these options, but we don't care about those options right now. What we care about is getting the information from this box right here up to this program. So therefore, to do that, we say name it, and we give the variable name, which is this right here, name, and it's text, and we send dot value, which means whatever I type in there is now going to go up to here and become in. In is going to be whatever I typed. That's what happens when it arrives up there. Now I'm going to write one more thing here. One more input statement. And this one, I'm just like all the text IDs, all the text variables need an ID. Now, as every variable you create has to have a name for it. Okay, so in this case right here, in this input right here, I'm going to say ID, which means what is your name, identification, equals, I'm going to call it out. How's that? Out will be easy, and the type is text. Close. That should do it. ID equals out space, there's a space here. Type equals text. So each one of these things is always separated. Okay. And when I write that, that appears right there. So now I'm going to have a space, a little box, a button, and a little box. This is the first space right here. This is the button. This is the little box. Each one of these things is now on the screen. And the reason why they're side by side is because I didn't hit any BRs between them. If I had BR, it would go down the next line, but I didn't. So it'll just lay it right out. Provided that it can fit, it doesn't text wrap. It could do that if you have too much stuff on a line, it's going to wrap and you're going to see your stuff fall down. But then you have to either shorten them or decide what to do. You have to make up your mind. Okay, at this point, what we've done is actually all the part that's on the screen is visible. This right here, without my names and everything, what's visible at this point when you write the program is this right here. That's what you'll see. Okay. This program would produce that at this point. But now we want to do something. We want to allow a person to type stuff into the first box, click the button, and get something out of the second box. And here's how it works. To begin with, you've got to open up this little squiggly here. Okay. And the first thing I want to do is I want to say I'm going to create a variable. By writing the letters VAR, you create your own variable. In other words, in is a variable, but that comes with it. When you put it in here, it creates it automatically. So the first one arriving is created. There's invisibly a VAR in front of this in. It's created it for you. You don't know that, but it has. But if you want to create your own variable, let's create a variable. I'm going to call it answer, or greeting. Let's call it greet. G-R-E-E-T. Like that, a semicolon. That's how you create a variable. You simply say variable, here's its name, and put a semicolon. So now we have this thing in there, which was inside JavaScript. It's in JavaScript. It has a space to put stuff. It's called greet, and I can put stuff in there. It's actually a variable name, okay? So then I can say greet equals, quote, hi, unquote, hi, space right here, unquote, you gotta have the space in there, unquote, plus, this is really weird, the variable, which is in, semicolon.
Is there a space between the quote and the plus?
The space right here, no, it can be closed or open. JavaScript is very forgiving. in JavaScript, you have a lot of flexibility. It doesn't care about spaces, really. If you're gonna print it out, it does, like HI blank is what you wanna print out, because when it says, hi Joe, you want it to say, hi, space, Joe, okay? So basically, you want that space to be there. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, I'm creating this variable which contains the word hi, space, and I'm gluing the name to it. That plus sign just glues it to it. It just says, whatever I typed in, whatever it was, when I typed in Joe right here, it just simply takes that Joe and glues it to the hi plus, and now that's what you have. You have Greek, which contains hi space Joe. That's what it contains. And then what you say is, after you get through that, now you want to send it back to the guy on the front page, now that you've done the work of creating it. So what you say is, out dot value is equal to Greek. That's it. And then slash script and it's over. I'm going to close this little squiggly, it's over. Beginning of function, end of function. 1, 2, 3 steps in this thing, okay? Now, it looks like a lot of work, but believe me, once you get the basic theme of it down, which is information goes up to JavaScript, you do something to it, and you send the answer back. And that's exactly what we did here. We, down here we said, here's the information, type in Joe. It says, send that information up to the function, and it goes up here and arrives there like that. And then we say, process the information back in JavaScript, and then send the answer back to out, which is down here. Because out's ID is where it's going back. Make sense? Yeah.
So this section over here, where does it show up in, like in Notepad, if I were to write it out?
It's all just in a row, right here.
So I just stick it right underneath?
Yeah, it's just, I just didn't have room, that's why I said I'd do it that way. It's, I normally actually do it this way too, because there's not a board here to work, so what I do is I write all the JavaScript stuff on this side, and then I usually write the page stuff on this side over here. That way you can, the HTML, you get to see both of them. It's just a continuous thing, that's all it is. And actually it's kind of handy because I have to, it's hard to decide whether to write this first or this first. Sometimes I write this first because it's easier for us to think about it. Sometimes I write that first. It depends on what we're trying to do. Okay? So in this program right here, if it works the way it's supposed to work, do you want it?
No, I'll try it.
Don't be scared. If anybody else has got computers, just run these things, by the way. If you make a typo or something, we can learn from everything you do. Okay, so do you want me to go back over it one more time? Is this a little bit mystical? Do you want me to talk about it again one more time?
I'll try it.
Okay. The only thing I always hope is that somebody will write it, because if I make a typo on the board...
I've got an issue.
You got it?
Well, I typed it up, and so it says hi but undefined.
It says hi, but not what?
It says hi undefined. So
Hi undefined. Okay.
I put mine in
Did you put an in right there?
So,
Okay, there's several places that could be. If when you created your user ID, if the original ID, if you didn't use the word name here, use something else, then that wouldn't have worked. That has to be the same thing as that right there. Dot value. That has to be the same. Is it? Good. You guys, don't be afraid to do this while it works. It's really worth doing. I'll leave you for a second just to be sure.
So when we're uploading it, it's going to be blank as is right now, unless we would have put in the name Joe or something, right?
Yeah, when you run it, you
Yeah,
type
yeah.
in Joe. You don't upload it.
You type in Joe once you...
You're the writer. You can run it right in your machine, and you can type in whatever you want. Type anything you want in there. So you're the user now. And when you say run, you're the user. You can type anything you want, whatever works. How are we doing? Anybody got it yet?
Yeah.
You got it? Did it run? Type in your name, though, not mine.
Yeah.
No, the button.
Where it's click, is that supposed to be a button? Is it
Where it says, are you here on click? It says,
yeah, like up there in your thing there, where it says Joe, click
right
up
here?
there? Yeah.
Okay,
The
then
click
first,
thing is
what you should
input.
see when you run it, you should see blank, button, blank.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you type in, put your mouse in there and type in your name.
Yeah. I did, but the middle where it says click, that's an input instead of a button.
So go back.
So maybe I.
None of this works.
You got input type equals button right there.
What's supposed to happen when we click on it?
Okay.
Maybe it doesn't like the quotes. Awesome.
Yeah, let me take away the quotes and try.
If we press on click, what are we supposed to?
What?
If we press on click, right? So you have the blank, click, blank.
Right, then, so you type your name in first,
Okay,
and then you press on click,
That button's
and it should say hi.
doesn't it?
It doesn't.
None of the buttons are.
Yeah,
The button's okay, try to get rid of these quotes, see what happens. You're using,
Remove what quote?
because, that's funny, because I just wrote these last year, and I know they work.
Okay.
Yeah, the quotes
See if
are on the
there's
button,
something
trying
going
to
on there.
click into,
Into an input.
yeah.
Still.
And on a Mac, the quotes turn into weird, indiscernible symbols.
Does this say name it right, N-A-M-I-T right here?
Yep.
Okay, let's see.
So I took away the quotes and it's still an input instead of a,
This should be fine, I don't know why that didn't work.
yeah, so it didn't make any difference there.
There's gotta be some error. Are you jamming any of these together? Space here,
Oh, I found one.
space before this thing, if you have it on the same line.
Space before what thing?
What? The space, it's a space here, and there should be a space before this. If this is on the same line, it should be a space before it, yeah. The return will do the same thing.
Is there a space between the click and then the on-click?
Between the click and the on-click, oh, yeah.
Okay.
Or a return will do it.
Or is there a space between out and type?
Between out and, yes,
Oh, okay,
So,
space right here.
okay.
Well, what happens is you have these input tags, and then you have to give qualities to the thing. You have to say, well, I want it to be text. So that's a thing, and it's spaced to the next thing, which says I want it to have this value, which is a different thing. So in other words, what you have to do is you have to actually tell it everything, or with spaces between, or it doesn't know what to do.
Mine's still not doing it.
Yours is still not right. You got a PC or
I have a Dell.
a what?
Yeah.
That's a PC, yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay.
don't know.
What's it doing to you?
It's just, I put my name in, then I press click and nothing happens.
And nothing happens, okay.
Yeah,
Let's
that's the same.
look
one
up
right
here,
there.
function. Do you have the word function, space, name it, and then an in right here?
Yep.
That, you have a VAR space greet.
Yep.
Okay, semicolon.
Mm-hmm.
and none of them have to be caps, right?
And then you have greet equals quote, hi, space, unquote,
Yep.
plus sign, in, which is that. And then you say out dot value, and it's not giving you the out dot value. Yeah, I should give you the answer.
Yep. I have all that.
How about this thing?
Yeah.
Look it over one more time, because there's something obviously wrong.
Oh.
This works, actually, this works. Did you run yours?
It worked, but it said hi undefined.
It said hi what?
So it's the same one.
It's the same thing that's going wrong with mine. It says hi.
Oh, it gives you the hi and not the word, not the name?
Yeah.
It's,
Okay, let me
Is
see.
it all in capitalized? Is yours all in capitalized?
Uncapitalized.
Nothing, not even like the N.
The N's capitalized.
They use the same in here in both places?
I mean, I did, it doesn't matter. Does
Oh,
it matter if the
yeah.
N is
Oh, yeah, it makes-
capitalized?
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Okay,
No, no, you can use small n or
As
capital,
long as they're the
but they
same.
both have to be the same.
okay.
Okay.
Well, they're both the same.
Okay.
So, why don't you have to put parentheses around
it's done.
the plus n?
The
Like, cause it says name it parentheses
the plus right
n.
here, here's why. This is like, it's glues, it's a glue, plus sign is a glue. If they're both words, and this is a word, this comes in as a word, right here, it's a word, like they call it string, okay? Let's say you take that string and you glue it to that string, which is just a string also. It's a data literal string, but it's a string still. So these two strings are just glued together, that's how it does it. Then when you glue them together and you put them in that variable right there, and then you say let out dot value, which is where it's going to, equal greet, it goes into there, and then it shows it to you. Okay. I think I've got everything there, I don't know why it shouldn't work. The quote button, I have that in my programs, and it works everywhere that I've used it.
Yeah, mine's says hi undefined.
You have no quotes on yours?
Mine doesn't now, but it says undefined like everyone else's.
This is, what is undefined? Oh, the answer.
It says
Oh,
hi
the variable's
undefined.
undefined.
With
Okay,
the-
let's look at this thing right here. Did you
Yeah.
put a quote mark here?
Yeah.
So it says quote mark, NAMIT, exactly the same as it is up there. Open, name dot value, close, quote.
All of it's the same.
The NAMIT part, should that actually have like NAME? Like,
No, well, I
because
called
I just.
it name it here, and I called it name it, I gave it the same name, whatever name you
Okay,
give
so
it.
yeah. as long as
This
it's-
is the name it has to be, whatever you type
Gotcha.
here has to be in that one right there.
Alright.
Let me see if anything's wrong here, let me check this, true, right? Okay, functions name it, variables greet,
That's fine.
greet equals hi plus n, out value equals greet, perfectly good, slash script, slash that, all done. Goes over here and it says ID is name, okay, so it's a button, value is click. It does say click on your button, right? Then on click. Did you guys type return here, or did you just type keep going?
I returned, so I just got rid of the return. Will that make a difference?
I wonder if you got rid of the return, so you got a space in, you got a space in there now, right? You
Well,
gotta put-
between head and that, I got rid of the space.
Yeah, there should be a space right here, before on click.
Yeah.
I just didn't have room, so I wrote it down there. So anyway, value equals click, space, on click equals, name it. What I'm gonna do is, during the last half hour, I'll write this program, be sure you can see it run. We'll see if there's some kind of error here. I don't see any errors today, too, it looks fine.
It says hi, it just says undefined after.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't pick up the name, so it's not picking up this name. Did you type something in the name area?
Yeah, but Emma.
You did. Okay, let's do it, debugging this would be a good point. Here's what we can do. When you write a program and you're trying to figure out what's wrong with it, okay? One of the things you do is you try to track down where in your program could this possibly fail. So what yours is saying is it can't find the name. So the question is, did the name ever get there? Is it there? So what you do is this. Right in this spot right here, right after these parentheses, you insert a new, right in this spot, insert a code that looks like this. Alert in. And here's what will happen. When the thing gets sent to this program, it'll immediately look to see if in is actually got the value you want. So in other words, if it doesn't, it means either something's wrong with this receiving point or something's wrong down here, so then you can start working on it. Because you never know if the problem might be up in here someplace, it might be in that line or somewhere else. But if it comes in and that alert shows you the name you type in, then you know the program is at least has worked up to this point and up to here. Then the problem's in here someplace. Other than that, if it doesn't show up, then you know, oh, it never even got there, so something in here is wrong. It's like tracking it down, you know.
It still won't pick up the name, so now it has the alert and
It says it doesn't see the name.
Undefined, yeah.
Okay, then something, then it probably means if this thing says function, space, name it, in, then something's wrong down here. Now there's only one other possibility of a problem. It doesn't happen very much, but there are certain functions that JavaScript reserves for its own use. And they always kind of hope that you won't accidentally bump into one of those. It's like, and you don't even know what they are. We have lists of some of them aren't listed. So basically, if you were to call a function by something that they, for example, are using as a function name somewhere else, you can bump into theirs. That's not very common, by the way. It's not something, I haven't seen this for a long time. But name it might be one of those weird things. Let's change the name of this thing to, call it hello. How's that?
Mine was already different from that, and I was still getting the undefined.
It still gives you undefined.
Yeah, so mine was NAME instead of NAMT.
Oh, I see, okay.
So
That's all.
that's
Good for
not a
you, good
problem.
for you. This is logic, this is what you have to do. Okay, so name it is fine, okay?
So why is the N, why can that be just N and down there it says name.value?
Here's the reason why, because these are two different languages.
Oh.
Okay, and that's one of, by the way, that's one of the nice things about functions. A function has, it has its own variables. It doesn't have the same variables as the program has. So if you wanted to use that function in a different program, you just go ploop, and it still works. Because it's got its own internal name.
Whatever is in there is N.
Yes, it's like a local name for the thing, right? So a function is like this mystical place that and that's why they write programs. We didn't used to write like this, by the way. We used to write one great big long program, but all the names were all the same through the whole program. And it turned out that wasn't very useful when you want to take a piece of a program and put it in another program. You can't do it because you get stuck with all those names. But this one, I could pull this piece out. I'd have to, this right here, I'd have to be sure the communication name was the same. That right there, if it was out.value, I'd have to change that to talk to somebody, but all the rest of the stuff would all be perfectly fine. The in would be fine, it would all work fine. Okay?
I have a quick question.
Yep.
So, you were saying put the alert in parentheses in semicolon, right?
Yeah, yours showed you, it didn't show you anything.
So, yeah, I did that, and then I saved it, and I put it into Chrome, and I put my name, click, and then it was blank.
Your name and it was blank?
Yeah,
Oh, in other words, this gave you a blank back? It alerted the blank?
yeah.
I've had the same problem the whole time, it doesn't
Okay, well-
say hi for me.
Did it give you a little box?
And it doesn't say anything.
So I have a box, and then I click, and then I have a box, and so.
And that little alert box came up, but it didn't have anything in it?
So.
In other words, did this box come up right here, the one that comes in front?
Yes,
And what does it say on it?
just click,
What?
just click.
It
Talking
says-
about like a secondary window.
There's another box that pops up if you do the alert.
Oh, no, the main window should say this right here. But when you hit an alert, the alert comes up in front of it, it just puts a little box in front of it. It's called the alert box. That's the one we did in the first program that does that.
Wait, is it supposed to go in front of bar or a variable?
What?
Is the alert thing supposed to go in front of the variable or in between?
No, because here's what I'm testing. In is supposed to have your name in it. So I'm saying immediately when it comes in, I'm saying, did you send me your name?
No, I just put
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Alright. That makes more sense. Okay, I understand.
Okay, I suspect something here that I wrote doesn't look right to you. Maybe I didn't write it clearly enough.
I'm gonna try it on your computer and see if it works.
I think that's a good idea.
I know that works. I know that works. You guys, that actually is appearing. You are getting two of these things, right? Two of them show. So therefore we know that ID out works and we know that ID name works. We know that those two guys work. The question is, the on-click here, type equals button, on-click equals that, name it, open parentheses, close parentheses, quotes on both
It
sides,
still says high undefined.
and close it. That should work.
It still says high undefined for me.
What does it say when you, what's the alert say?
Wait, I'm sorry, what is it?
You put an alert in, right?
No, I took it out.
Oh,
Did you want me to keep it in? Okay.
I tried it and it just said undefined and once the box popped up.
and the alert said what?
The alert said undefined.
Undefined also. Okay, it means it's not getting it from here.
Just didn't work.
Right down here someplace is where the problem is. Okay, let's see. Let me talk these things through and see if your code says the same thing. This one here, this is in the body. This one says input space ID equals, that's lowercase by the way, lowercase ID, equals quote name unquote. You know, I wonder if it doesn't like the word name as a tag. That's a possibility. Let's change the name. Let's change it. Let's call this in. Change the name to in right here. IN. Maybe that's the problem. This is one of those. If it is, it's one of these JavaScript things. We have to be careful of it. Let's try in right here. Try in this position. Just no spaces. Just in, and just in right here. No spaces. Maybe that's the problem. Let's see what happens.
Should there be anywhere on here that has any return?
What do you mean return?
No.
So it should all be blended together with no return, okay.
So,
Now it's on.
So now it's just leaving the second box blank.
Yeah,
the second block blank, there's nothing in it.
Nothing in it.
yeah.
So it's not, I know, duh, look at this, you guys. I'm talking about a dummy. Can you see what's wrong here?
So that'd be in value?
What?
The out,
Is the out correct?
Dot value?
Do we leave the out dot value? Out dot value, it should be out dot value, yes. Definitely should be out dot value.
Is there supposed to be, I don't know.
You tell us.
Getting a little confused here. Why would this not work? Let me see. So you change this to in. Before it said undefined, and now it just gives you a blank.
Yeah.
Okay. That must mean ID, it must mean it doesn't like out either. Let's call it out one. Change that to out one. Right there. And change this to out one right here.
So out one dot value.
Out one, try that. I think what we did is we ran, one of these things ran into JavaScript's weirdness.
Not a space, just one.
Just the one, like just say out one, yeah. No space. Just
So
out
I'm
one.
not getting any kind of box, like it's not even responding to me.
That's
You have
right.
a Mac,
Yeah,
it's gonna
Tyler-
be weird
Tyler's
for
gonna-
you.
The Max, like weird
Oh, you got a Mac? You got a
Yeah.
Mac?
We are SO.
You got a Mac?
That's still getting
Welcome to the
defined.
club.
Yeah, we ought to talk about that too before you guys leave, by the way.
Out one is still getting undefined.
I have a student who wrote his program in Mac yesterday. Unfortunately, he's in Texas, but he wrote this program. He sent it to me, and when it came out in my email, it had funny little characters all through it because it was made on the Mac. And you're supposed to be able to save a text file. Is it text edit? Is that the name of your program?
Yeah, that's where we got
You're
that.
supposed to be able to save an HTML file, and whatever they're doing is one of their characters, or the quote mark character is particularly offensive, but there's some other ones too, and they're not basic characters. They've somehow done something. So somehow you have to get, and here's what I suggest, I'm getting to the point where you might have to go to see the Mac guys, but over here in the lab. But another possibility is go online and tell them what happens. Say you're getting odd characters in the text edit, and when you save HTML. And it should tell you what the problem is and how to get around it. Try using Google. It's the best way to go. I tell you the truth, I use Google. It works for everything, really. You just have to find the right thing to type down, that's all. Anyway, did you try this in and out? See out one? See
Yeah.
Out one,
what happened in?
still just blank now.
Yeah.
It gives you blank.
now mine's still giving me the undefined. With,
And it's in dot value here.
Maybe you could try typing it on your computer to see if it works.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to do it as soon as well, this is all over now. Okay, I think this is close enough. The only thing I've asked you to do for homework at this point doesn't even require this. Next week I'll continue with this. Essentially what I want to do is, I want to get you to be able to enter strings, which is words like that, and numbers. You've got to enter numbers, and they're taken differently. They handle them a little differently. And then we'll take our numbers and we'll do some simple, I'm not going to do a big math deal, but I'm going to show you how to add them together and divide or all that stuff. So I'll show you the simple math processes. And next week we're going to start into something kind of interesting, because the program is now going to start talking to you, which is a little different than we've been doing so far. I'm going to show you how to get that operational so the thing begins to converse with you. And then we'll have something that's more interesting to work with. Let's take a couple minute break here, and I'll set up my computer and we'll get this straight. Okay?
What's going on with the math?
Basically, like,